This is Into Chapter Problem 3.5 from Chapter 3 of the CFA Institute textbook, Corporate Finance: A Practical Approach. And here it's just asking a simple multiple guess question about estimating the cost of debt. Now typically we use the yield to maturity approach, and that's the one used in the chapter problem 3.4. The yield to maturity approach is simply calculate the yield to maturity, multiply by 1 minus the tax rate, and now you've got a cost of debt. Sometimes you don't actually have existing outstanding debt, but or the debt that they have isn't widely traded. But still, you can use another approach, and that's the bond rating approach. And to use the bond rating approach, you go rate the company for the quality rating that they would get, the default risk rating that they would get, and then you use the average. So if a company went out, the average rate on similar companies. So let's say you went out there and rated this company, and the company was rated, and their debt is now going to be rated as A minus. Well, you go out and look at the other A minus companies at similar yield. They'd have similar yields to maturity for similar maturity lengths. And so the answer is you rate the company, and that rating can be used to assess the credit default spread of the company's debt. That is, how much more they have to pay over and above treasuries to issue debt. All right, so the coupon rate is almost never going to be used as the measure of risk on the corporate bonds, because the coupon rate simply tells you how much money they pay each year. The yield to maturity takes into account how much they pay and the actual price of the bond to figure out what the equivalent would be for newly issued bonds. The yield is never going to be based on the interest coverage ratio. Most companies have interest coverage is how much EBIT, or earnings before interest and tax, you have to pay the interest. Ideally, the more EBIT you have to pay the interest, it's going to actually make a safer, sounder bond, all else held constant, but that ain't the answer. So anyway, answer C.